illness your entire personality.
It literally affects every aspect of my life, all the way down to the way I take a piss. Leave me be.
Being a dude for 19 years, and then transitioning and suddenly being the topic of locker room talk, it's like one of the most uncomfortable things in the world. Cause you know what they're saying, cause you used to be there with them. And now you just can hopelessly watch as you get painfully objectified.
Taking this from you, 'cause I wanna feel like I'm supposed to. I could disappear, but this is what makes me feel so real.
Did you know that the same face in the moon always faces Earth?
I kiss you! Wait a minute. You're my first ever actual kiss. Yay! Ah! Happiness. That thing's still running.
Hello, camera.
Hi.
Here's more.
One thing I know, it's only part luck and soul. I'm putting on my best show under the spotlight.
Riz, short for charisma? Nah. I got Tiz, short for autism.
I get a lot of comments like this, so I thought I'd talk about it. I'm a transgender girl, meaning I was assigned male at birth. Because of this, I went through male puberty, which caused my voice to drop. A while ago, I made the decision to not do vocal training since I don't really mind how my voice sounds. I present very feminine, and my voice doesn't change that at all. The only reason I'd want to do vocal training is out of safety, which I might have to do in the near future. Saying things like, "you sound like a dude," is not only hurtful, but creates a gender binary around voices. Just because someone has a deep voice doesn't mean they're a guy, and vice versa. Please stop saying ignorant things without educating yourself.
Episode 2 of ending the video when my sensory issues would cause me to have an autistic meltdown. That looks really good. I hope you don't oh, please don't touch the chicken. Please do not touch the chicken. Please do not touch the chicken. Those seasonings look good. The chicken looks good, but please don't touch it. Please don't touch it. Please don't touch it. Don't touch it.
From here, I'm just gonna heat a pan with some sun-dried
we're good, I think.
oil. This is really what's gonna start building.
Okay, so you got what, like oil on the pan? You touch the chicken.
Get up, cocksuckers, it's all over.
Catch me if you can, Mr. Holmes.
That is the reductionist stereotype that puts people like me in little boxes. You chose the right box though, I will admit.
We really need to set the record straight here because I'm feeling very stressed. Just because you're autistic does not mean that your trans identity is invalid. You are 150 billion% valid as an autistic person who is also trans. I'm saying this because I did a video on a gender crisis that I'm having because I now understand that being autistic is really inherently linked to my trans identity. But that doesn't mean that me being autistic is causing me to be trans. We have to remember here that in essence, and I'm saying this very simplified, gender is a construct. It doesn't mean that it's not meaningful, impactful, or that it isn't something that someone can feel inside their brain or not feel. I've had over 100 people, both in the comments section of that video and in my DMs, saying that they're not sure whether they should transition because they're autistic and they don't know whether they're really trans because they're autistic. That is internalized transphobia and consistent misinformation given by pretty much everyone that ever ever taught you anything about gender, sexuality, and sex. So just to recap, gender is fluid in a lot of ways, whether that is your core identity and label and how you feel inside, or how you present yourself day to day. So you're okay. Everything is fine.
I'm fucking angry because they can't follow basic instructions.
This one.
The reason that it is hard to be autistic in our society, and the reason that autistic people are seemingly always upset, is because of neurotypical people. You will ignore every boundary because you seemingly don't understand it or it doesn't make sense, but if it matters to that person, it matters to that person. And a lot of autistic people, including myself, have very, specific, I have, for example, a very strict morning routine, and if I don't follow it every morning, I get a little rattled about it. I really like to have my schedule set. And again, this goes into what I was saying yesterday about, the accommodation thing. It is a basic accommodation for an autistic person to recognize their boundaries, recognize what they are saying to you, and support them on it. And they will do the same for you, I can guarantee it. Just be nicer to autistic people.
Oh, wow. You're actually, your tits are...
This one time I was participating in lesbian activities and I started sharing fun facts I knew about anatomy, and the person I was with tried to kiss me to shut me up, but it didn't work. So I just kept sharing fun anatomy facts while their tongue was in my mouth.
This speech is my recital. I think it's very vital to rock around. That's right, on time. It's tricky, it's uptight. Here we go. It's tricky to rock around. That's right, on time. It's tricky. It's tricky, 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 tricky. It's tricky to rock around. That's right, on time. It's tricky.
Give me more. If you can't handle a heart like mine, don't waste your time with me. If you're not down to bleed, no.
Now I knew I was marrying into a very cishet family, cishet if you will. I actually used to think that was how it was pronounced. I don't know, phonetics. But I do not think it truly hit me until the last time I met up with them for dinner. They said, we've been talking about superpowers all day. If you could have a superpower, which one would you pick? So like any god-rejecting GBD would, I responded, shapeshifting. And they looked straight at me and said, not a single person we've talked to has said that one. Not one! So I did just rationalize that it was a good hack to get more superpowers, like why have flying if shapeshifting would get you flying by turning into a bird. At which point I assumed they had rightly determined that autism had taken the wheel again. They are, after all, used to this, to the degree that at one point I was info-dumping them fun facts of varying sorts, and tried to flex, saying, I can actually get a free pass to all the national parks, because, that's a thing that helps a lot of autistic people, so it's available to us. And without missing a single beat, his mom looks me in the eyes and says, but Caroline, you hate the outdoors. So they very much are a family that gets me whale sharks, and absolutely sees through me.
I'll be damned.
So apparently when you get a new phone, your TikTok For You page resets to the default. I'm terrified. Get me out of here. If you're queer or cool, interact with this. I don't know. I'm scared. This is not where I belong.
So the other day, I talked about how I'd sat down and made a list of things that I had wanted to improve about myself before pursuing a relationship of any kind. Well, a few days after I made that video, I was just super overwhelmed. Things kept piling up and I had an autistic meltdown. And the same thing happened that happens every time I have an autistic meltdown. That all of a sudden, I'm like, nobody wants this. Nobody would choose this. And if you're autistic and experience meltdown, maybe you can relate, but you just feel such shame that it's not something you can control, but it happens, and you have to face the reality that anyone who's part of your life is going to have to know that. I think about the list that I made of things that I want to improve myself, and I think about how I have to be realistic. I can only improve up to a certain point. I can only improve certain things. There are things about me that I may want to improve, but they will never improve because literally it's part of how my brain is wired. I've come a really long way in accepting that. And just the very fact that for the first time ever, I told myself to stop that line of thinking and not be so down on myself and so negative about whether I could ever find a partner as an autistic person or not. But it makes me wonder, will I always feel like I shouldn't pursue something because of that? Will I always feel like nobody would want to be part of that, like that nobody would choose that for themselves, like that, like it's a lot.
Alabama, Arkansas, I do love my ma and pa, not the way I do love you. Well, holy moly, me oh my, you're I'm at the party, don't wanna stay. You're mad, discard me, throw me away.
No mentally ill queer person has all five: a college or university education, their natural hair color, at least one parent that isn't abusive, the ability to differentiate between platonic, romantic, and sexual attraction, and a full-time job.
You're a ginger, a Jew, and from Jersey. 3 strikes, Cal. You're out! Shut the fuck up!
If you're implying that autistic people are more likely to be LGBTQ, you're completely right. That's a statistically proven fact, so good job. A holistic person does pattern recognition.
Hey, I get a bit of a vibe from you. Do you mind if I ask you a bit of a weird question?
Oh, no, go ahead. What is it?
Okay, thanks. Are you... or...
Yeah, a bit of both, really.
Okay, but where are all the other autistic gay people who struggle with both literal thinking and having a dirty sense of humor at the same time? Like, if someone tells me to get fucked, like, I'm not gonna take that as an insult. I'm just gonna be like, well, yeah, I've been trying to.
This is America, Lois. Men have always run things, and there have never been any problems whatsoever. And don't say the economy, or Iraq, or income inequality, or racism, or Brett Kavanaugh, or air pollution, or Vietnam, or slavery, or Watergate, or capitalism, or Me Too, or homelessness, or police brutality, or homophobia, or Monica Lewinsky, or school shootings, or Native American genocide, or Fox News, or Tim Allen, or climate change.
I'll have a mocha caramel latte chino made with skim milk, no whipped cream. Please put that in a grande cup, but use the same amount of coffee that you'd put into a tall. That way there's about an inch of extra room on top to stir in my own nutmeg without spilling any coffee at all. What do you want?
I'll have a tea.
What kind?
Just tea?
Questioning whether or not you're autistic, you are queer and grew up closeted, you have religious trauma,
You need to lower your voice. I was not ready to be seen this morning.
Hey, Red, you got any zingers for the crowd? No? How about you, Nelly? Yeah, I got one. You're a fat fuck.
And then I found me a lover who could play the bass. He's kinda quiet, but his body aches. Spent the days dreaming and the nights awake, doing things we know we shouldn't do.
Okay, but does anybody else low-key not want the Aulistics to find out about Rainbow Infinity? Because right now I can put it in all my social media bios and signal out to other autistics. But if someone is less informed, they'll just think I'm LGBTQ, which is also true. And if somebody is even less informed, they'll just think I like rainbows, which is also true.
Part of me that ain't around, I'm always talking to. So I'll love you till my lungs give out.
With the mean streak
thanks for coming on this date. I really love meeting new people, and I'm pretty lonely, so what are you looking for in a relationship? I really love, like, fun. I really love going to new places, experiencing new things. Like, I really love to be stimulated. Okay, yeah, I'm looking for stability, routine, someone who can communicate very clearly. Okay, cool. Yeah, I get a little bit emotional sometimes. Sometimes I can't really communicate very well because of it. That's okay. So what do you like to do for fun? I really like archery and playing piano and like butterfly knife. I just got into that recently. I'm always like doing something different. I'm always like getting obsessed with something new. I actually love sticking to one thing. It's one of my favorite things to do. I also have special interests, but they're very long standing and they don't sort of dwindle away. Yeah, cool. So I don't know if this is a good fit necessarily. No, I don't think so either. Too bad we live in the same body. Yeah. Too bad.
Let's talk more about the term neuroqueer. This term was coined by Nick Walker, Athena Lynn Michaels Davis, and Remy Yurgo. On Nick Walker's blog, Neurocosmopolitanism, she has some definitions of neuroqueer outlined that I wanted to share with you all. And I encourage you all to go check out her blog because it's an amazing resource. Being both neurodivergent and queer with some degree of conscious awareness and or active exploration around how these two aspects of one's identity intersect and interact. Being neurodivergent and actively choosing to embody and express one's neurodivergence in ways that queer one's performance of gender, sexuality, ethnicity, occupation, and or other aspects of one's identity. Engaging in the queering of one's own neurocognitive processes by intentionally altering them in ways that create significant and lasting increase in one's divergence from dominant neurological, cognitive, and behavioral norms. These are just a few of the definitions and are by no means all-inclusive. If you identify as neuroqueer, I'm curious to know what it means to you.
I'm gay, gay. My bitch is gay. My brothers is gay. Even a stick is gay. Doja Cat is gay, gay, gay.
This is the faggot the prophecy foretold.
Everybody's gotta go, don't they? Yes, we do. So if you need a hero, just look in the mirror. No one's gonna save you now.
And don't stop, shoot a shot, go out to the parking lot.
Fab Five Freddy told me everybody's fly.
Last warning, do not touch uh-oh.
Tell me stop being sexist.
I'm not.
People need to stop expecting me to think rationally. I am neurodivergent and I am bisexual, and these are both reasons I cannot think straight.
Are you autistic and feel like your crushes hit a little bit different? Well, that's because an autistic fixation can manifest as a romantic fixation. So you might be obsessed with a person, sometimes platonically, but romantically you can be absolutely obsessed with a person, retaining every piece of information you know about them, wanting to learn more. And so when you have a crush on someone, it can feel really intense. Sometimes it gets a little bit creepy. When I think about the crushes that I used to have before I realised I was autistic. I mean, I still crush just as hard, but at least now I know what's going on. And yeah, you want to retain every single bit of information, organise it all in your brain, like learn more. And I had a crush on this guy in secondary school, and I think I heard his address once when it was like parents' evening, and then 2 years later I was like, oh my god, do you still live at number X on X street and this is your postcode? And he was like, potentially came on a little bit strong, but you can romantically fixate on someone and that can be your special interest. People can be your special interest as an autistic person. And so the autistic crush, it just hits a little bit different. But once you know what it is, you can work out what's an appropriate level of interest to express.
Hey babe, I'm gonna have some cookies.
Oh, I guess she doesn't want cookies. Wait a second. The hell kind of neurotypical communication was that?
Hey babe, I'm gonna have some cookies. You want any?
There we go.
Look, I'm not saying every autistic woman is a lesbian. Obviously not. And I'm not saying every lesbian is autistic. Obviously not. But the crossover, it's crossing over.
Are you autistic? Take an orange out of the fridge. Peel the orange all in one go. Eat the orange. Crush the orange in your bare hands. Much better.
One of the things I find enormously funny about the autistic experience is that there is a demographic of us that just have this very, very non-specific accent, in that, like, it doesn't align with where we grew up, where we were born, our background, nothing. It's just this kind of weird thing. I actually got bullied for quite a few years growing up because of the way I speak. It started in primary school, and I always associated with the fact that I read a lot of Harry Potter and whatnot growing up, and so this accent that I sort of developed and that has literally never left me is an English one. It's just weird because I slip into it at absolutely random times, has no sense. Sometimes it'll be a single word, sometimes it'll be the entire way I speak for the whole day, and other times it's just sort of like, you know, here and there for particular phrases with no real rhyme or reason, right? Okay. And then it continued in high school, and I'll never forget this one time that I was trying to stick up for someone who was being bullied because they had some acne on their back. I said something to the person who was bullying them, and their only reply was, "Why do you speak in that ridiculous accent all the time?" And I remember thinking, I don't even know. I've got nothing to say to you at all. Well, now, 25, I know, 10 years later, that it's just autism. I guess the question's answered now.
Karma is a queen. Karma takes all my friends to the summit. Karma.
Ain't no gangbang and Bukaki.
I wanted to be your woman. I wanted to be your man. I wanted to be the one that you could understand.
I know a lot of people in the queer community are autistic and vice versa, but I've yet to hear anybody really talk about this. I'm going to try to introduce this without being sarcastic. I have been slowly coming to accept in different ways that I have been femme masking my entire life. Femme, like presenting myself more femininely, and mask being the M-A-S-K autism mask. Not mask as in the opposite of femme, which makes it a very confusing term. And over the past few months, I've been experimenting with how to undo a lot of that femme masking. And it's been fucking wonderful. Some examples, you know, when you are asking an authority figure for a favor, like when you're in school and you're like, can I go to the bathroom? But you don't say, can I go to the bathroom? You say, can I go to the bathroom? Your voice jumps up a whole octave, and you're trying to make yourself seem more feminine to get the favor of the authority figure, because women need to be protected. This might also just be a white woman thing. Store that in my cap for later. And over emoting with your face, which is a normal autism thing, but like extra engaging with your face so that people know that you are friendly and you are not resting bitch face a threat, because if a woman isn't smiling, she's angry, because we're not allowed to have any other emotion than bubbly. And it's not just face and voice, it's like the way I walked and how I sat in chairs.
And I've been trying to like do the opposite and seeing how it feels. Instead of walking very forward, I'm like trying to sit back as I walk. And honestly, the experiment has been a success because I've felt so grounded, so centered, so confident, all of these things that I used to try to attain through like spiritual means and therapy. Not that I still don't need therapy, everybody needs therapy. And I definitely did this as a means of getting my needs met as an autistic person. Because as a girl who had social problems, sensory issues, presenting very feminine or remotely feminine was a means of connecting with my peers and having some semblance of protection, because women are beings who need to be protected. And I don't hear people talk about this enough, and I've got so much more to say.
Have you're both neurodivergent and queer.
Queer and autistic.
Okay, for literal weeks, this guy's voice has been driving me insane. Not in a bad way. It's just that he sounds really familiar. Like, he sounds exactly like someone else, but I could not for the life of me figure out who that was until, like, a couple hours ago. I figured out he sounds like Connor from Detroit Become Human. He sounds like he's about to tell me he's the android sent by Cyberlife. Like, he sounds like Connor. Like, am I the only one that hears that, or am I going crazy? Like, he sounds like Connor. He sounds like Brian DeChart. It's throwing me off.
We're gonna play the shut the fuck up game. You're first. You go first. Your turn.
Love yourself today, cause baby, you were born this way. No matter gay, straight or bi, lesbian, transgender life, I'm on the right track, baby, I was born to survive. No matter black, white, or beige, chola or Orient made, I'm on.
I'm a beer and wine drinker, but once I start, it's hard for me to stop sometimes.
You're an alcoholic.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's...
Oh my god, telling a disabled person to stop talking because their voice bothers you? You could just block me, but instead, I'm actually gonna talk more! Did you know that cats have a wider range of peripheral vision than us humans have? So when you think that they're ignoring you, they're actually just chilling out with you. Cats are also known to only meow when they're in heat, talking to their young, or talking to people. In fact, the way that cats most of the time actually communicate is at too high of a frequency for us people to actually hear. That knowledge, paired with the fact that cats are not able to differentiate people as apart from their own species, makes scientists believe that the reason why they meow at us is actually because they think that we're just hard of hearing. And to be fair, we kind of are. Compared to them, that is. The oldest cat to ever live lived up to 38 years, and currently the oldest cat living now is 26. Although the average lifespan for a domesticated cat is about 15 years, it is significantly shorter in the wild. Here in America, cats are also considered to be an invasive species, so please do not have outside cats if you can help it. If they need the exercise, you can actually leash train them just like a dog. Additional things you probably shouldn't be doing with your cats is getting them declawed, because declawing isn't actually cutting their nails, but taking away the first joint in their fingers. They become permanently disabled and can't walk right afterwards. They also have a higher risk of infection in their feet, and because of this, they tend to avoid using the litter box more. Aside from that, it's their main method of defense if anything were to happen to them. If you aren't prepared for a cat to scratch up your furniture, just don't get a cat. Kind of like how rabbits chew up the legs of your tables. Cats share 95% of their genetic makeup with tigers. Isn't that cool? Kittens have 26 baby teeth, and adult cats have about 30. Cats can jump up to 5 feet times their own body height. Cats run up to 30 miles per hour, so if your cat escapes, you're not going to outrun it to catch it. However, in the event that your cat gets out and you need to catch it, just fast-paced walk towards it. Eventually, you'll wear the little bugger out. Cats have 38 muscles into their ears, which allows them to move at 180 degrees. While a group of kittens is often called a litter, it can also be called a kindle. Isn't that so cute? Anyways, biology.
I would have to argue that yes, this is definitely part of it. As someone who recently came out as non-binary, but is generally pretty femme presenting, the thought process that I've always had is that I'm always treated like a man in a negative way and a woman in an oppressive way. So for example, I was always treated like I was rude and standoffish, and like I was too masculine for being a woman. And that the things that I did came off as standoffish because I fell into more like Americanized ideas of gender roles under the male category. So I think that, yeah, it was like this incongruence of like I was femme presenting, but like my personality was very assertive, very direct, very blunt. And I just didn't ever feel like I fit in on either side. However, I do also think part of it is a disassociation to my body, which someone else said in another comment. I want to be really clear and say that it is not because I am not capable of making these decisions for myself. I am capable of making autonomous decisions about my body, because I just can't anticipate that some people are going to try to use this to comment that. But I think it's a combination of both, but that doesn't really explain why maybe in other countries this is still happening there, because gender roles are different in different societies. But at least in America, I think that that's definitely a contributing factor.
All right.
Bungo.
Let me kick your ass. Who kicked whose? I kicked yours? You kicked mine. Now I have to get you back. Are you admitting it? I just said you did. I know. Not you admitting it. I love that you admit it. You're so cute.
Alabama, Arkansas, I do love my ma and pa, not the way I do love you. Well, holy moly, me oh my.
Our conversations ain't long, but you know what is. I know.
So I've just been reading your lovely comments on yesterday's reel that I uploaded about how autistic people can make sitting down an art. And I was thinking about some of your comments about how you've been told that a lot of these things are actually parts of LGBTQ plus culture. And I've heard that a million times too. And I'm not discrediting you and I'm not disagreeing with it at all. But just to share another hot take because I'm feeling a bit spicy, I think that a lot of things that are considered to be LGBTQ plus culture are actually neurodivergent culture because there's such a huge overlap between the communities, especially autistic community and the LGBTQ plus community. To give you an example, obviously we've already had sitting on chairs in unusual positions. I'm thinking of the supposed femme gay voice. I know that I have that, and I see that as not being part of being gay or a manifestation of my own queerness, but as being to do with my auditory processing and how I hear my voice, how I hear sounds. And to give you another example, I'm thinking of the hip swaying walk that we're told that a lot of queer people do. And I see that as being potentially a manifestation of neurodivergence because a lot of neurodivergent people, especially autistic people, often have co-occurring conditions that affect joints, as well as just being autistic can mean that your sense of proprioception and balance isn't fantastic. So my hips tend to sway a lot. I've not been diagnosed with any form of like tissue condition or anything like that, but I feel like my sense of balance and just how I move my legs mean that my hips tend to naturally sway because I'm not very steady on my feet. So a lot of people say that's what gay men do, and I am a gay man, of course, so it could be that, but I do see that more as a manifestation of my neurodivergence. That's just my personal opinion, but I would be intrigued to hear if you have any thoughts on this. This also triggered a memory for me. I actually wrote an entire article on this subject, and this isn't me trying to do any form of promo, because it was never actually published. I submitted it to various LGBTQ plus publications. I'd love for it to see the light of day because it wasn't time sensitive. It's still as relevant today as it was a year, 18 months ago, whenever it was I wrote it. But yeah, I wrote a whole article on this because I feel like this might actually help to raise the profile of neurodivergence in the LGBTQ plus community. And I think that's something that's desperately needed. Anyway, just my 2 cents, my Thursday ramblings.
I'm a lesbian, and I didn't figure that out until the last 6 months of my life. I'm 26 years old, so clearly like a little bit slow on the uptake. The signs were all there. They were glaringly obvious, and I missed them over and over and over again for years on end. And I think that such a huge part of the reason it took me so long to figure out that I'm gay is because I'm autistic, and I was undiagnosed autistic until I was about 24. So, you know, my whole life I felt fundamentally different from the people around me, and I was so used to people describing their thoughts and feelings and experiences in ways that were completely foreign and confusing to me. So when people talked about what it was like to date men, be attracted to men, and it didn't align with my internal experience, I never really questioned that because I was so used to fundamentally feeling other from everyone around me. I was so used to like my thoughts, feelings, and experiences never being the norm, never being typical. And this is something I've reflected on a lot over the last 6 months, and I just haven't found a lot of conversations about it online, so I kind of just want to like put it out there. Did other people have
know that you love her.
Oh!
He knows the song too?
How do you show her you love her?
How does she know that you really, really,
truly love her?
I've never heard this song.
How does she know that you love her? Observe! I am a Rorfian Zopgar! On my planet, this is hilarious.
Double cup, styrofoam pulled up. And she look bad in the Maybach truck. Bubble butt, cost 10 lift it up. LSD attached, stick stuff on the tongue.